Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm really excited to be here and to talk to you about what you can do with Twilio. So, the plan here is over the next 25 minutes or so to give you a bit of an idea of what are the different building blocks, what you can build with Twilio on the Twilio platform, and how you can use it in your business to build customer engagement solutions and solve the business problems you're trying to solve today. And Twilio's mission as a company is to fuel the future of communications. But not only that, we want developers to have a fantastic experience using our APIs. So I'm not only going to tell you about these things, I'm actually going to show you. I'm going to do some live coding, and hopefully with audience participation, you're going to leave with a new understanding of what Twilio can do for you and how it can help you in your business. So let's get into it. Programmable voice. When I first heard about Twilio a couple of years ago, I heard about this term programmable voice, and it wasn't immediately apparently clear to me what exactly it meant. And I have a background in VoIP and voice over IP and software engineering, so I'm in the sweet spot as far as the target market goes. But it wasn't immediately obvious what it is and what the value is. But it turns out that programmable voice is actually kind of a big deal. There's a lot of very interesting business problems and challenging solutions that you can't do very easily without programmable voice. And so, using programmable voice, we can be more agile, we can be more iterative, we can build some applications that that can really change how we engage with our customers. And so, as Ben was talking to a bit earlier, there's a lot of very interesting things that customers are doing, a lot of great solutions that they're putting together. Here are some examples up on the screen of what customers are doing with programmable voice. But what is programmable voice? Well, there are 4 key things that Twilio provides that makes up programmable voice. The first is programmable phone numbers. So it used to be that you went to the carrier, you bought a phone number, it might take a couple of weeks, a month, then you get the number, and then you can start using it. But now with Twilio, you have the ability to instantly provision phone numbers. Through our self-service console or through the API, you can immediately purchase that number, start using it right away in your application. And that's really powerful. You could start using it for example, you could buy a number and apply it to an ad listing. And then from that ad listing, when a call comes in, you have context. You know exactly where that lead came from. And so we've got local phone numbers in over 100 countries. We have toll-free numbers in over 27 countries. You can even port in your own number. You have an existing number, you can port it in, it becomes programmable, and then you can use all the capability that Twilio provides with programmable voice. The second component of programmable voice is the ability to control the experience. So what happens on the call? And the way we do this with Twilio is we use Twiml. And Twiml is a markup language that Twilio designed that allows you to construct an XML document that you can send to Twilio to provide instructions on what you want to happen on the call. So all of these elements up here that you see, they're what we call Twiml verbs or Twiml nouns. And effectively, you can mix and match those together to build the experience that you want. So your application can use these to create an experience. And so you can do things like dial out to an endpoint. You can gather input. You can gather speech or DTMF from a caller. You can control call recording. You can send SMSs, or you can play through announcements. So there's a whole bunch of capability there as far as programmable voice is concerned. The third element is the ability to reach out to a whole bunch of different devices. So obviously we can reach out to PSTN numbers and landline numbers. We have the ability to contact SIP endpoints. And we can also connect through SIP trunks out to on-premise PBX infrastructure and allow you to use that with your programmable applications. If you're using WebRTC, you can embed voice communications directly into your CRM or your web applications, or you can even put it into your mobile experience as well. And finally, because we've got a REST API, you can deliver voice to pretty much any sort of web-style application that you like. And it's all underpinned by your application and using Twiml. The last component of programmable voice that I like to think about is extracting intelligence. So this is actually using the content of what happened on the call or the information that you can collect after the fact, like who were the callers, and then doing something very interesting with it. So you can do things like pull the content down out of the call, like a transcription, and then send it off for sentiment analysis to find out, what was the experience good on the call. You can use the information about the callers to do spam prevention or reputation scoring. You can even get assistance with PCI compliance by using some of our marketplace add-ons to scrub recordings of sensitive information. So there's a whole bunch of very interesting things that we can do with our partners on the marketplace. I recommend you check out our add-ons. So now we're going to look at an example. So we're going to build a personalized conference line. And so this is kind of how the app will work. We'll have the ability for a caller to dial into a Twilio number. We're then going to have our application send back some TWIML. So it'll be a web application that Twilio is going to reach out and create a HTTP request to our application. We're going to then send back this TWIML that you see up on the screen, and that's going to basically do two things. It's going to, using the say verb, we're going to play back a welcome announcement, and then the second half of that will be, we'll place out a dial, and in this case we'll be dialing into a conference. And then as every caller dials in, they'll get joined into the same conference. So that's effectively what we're going to be building. So let's get into it. Okay. So first things first, when working with Twilio, the very first thing you need is a programmable phone number. So this is the Twilio Console, and think of it as like the front door of everything that you can do with Twilio. You can self-service through here. So I'm just going to search for a voice number that we're going to use for this demo. Okay, and you can see some numbers have popped up. I can see a nice Victorian number there, so I'm going to buy that one. And as easy as that, that number is now ours, once I click that. There we go. And so we're going to set that up. We're going to use this for our conference line. So a couple of things we're going to do with this conference line is we're going to try and personalize the experience. So that TWIML, to start off with, is going to be very, very basic. And we're just going to do a TWIML bin. And that TWIML bin there is what you saw up on the screen before, that XML document. And with this experience, I actually didn't have to write any code. So it's not personalized at this point, it's a default experience, if you think of it that way. And I'll just get my phone up and we'll dial in and just test that that's working. Yeah, there we go. So we can see the number, and I'll just get that number. It is 0387975283. Hopefully, if I've dialed that right, we should hear it come through.
Welcome to Twilio Engage.
And so that's effectively what we're doing. We're just responding back with that TWIML, and we played that welcome announcement. But if I want to personalize that experience, then I have to go and write some code. So let's do that. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to use Python for this application. It's a pretty easy environment to get started with. And as I mentioned before, there's things you've got to remember when you're developing a Twilio application. It's effectively, we're building here a web application. We need a web server, because that's how Twilio is going to reach out to us to get that TWIML. It's going to do a web request to our server, and then we're going to respond back. So in order to make that nice and easy, I'm going to use a helper library to help me with that. I'm going to use Flask, which is, if you're familiar with Python programming, it's a very well-known web framework. And the other thing I'm going to import is the Twilio helper library. Now, the Twilio helper library helps me from having to construct TWIML by hand. In other words, I don't have to do manual string handling. So I can just import that helper library so that we can get a response straight out of there. And the next thing I'm going to do is just do some boilerplate to get our conference line up and running. So this is just setting up a route inside Flask so that when this this path or URL is hit, it's going to invoke our application. And I'm going to allow that to use either a GET or a POST request. Okay. That's one other thing I need to do to get Flask running is, of course, enable Flask. Okay. And now I'm going to make that function do something. So when that URL is hit, and we're going to create a response object. And this maps very closely to what you actually saw in that Twiml document. So that voice response is like that that response tag that you saw. And if we want it to say something, we can simply put response.say and then put a message. And we can put exactly what we put before. Welcome to Twilio Engage conference. Okay. And then if we wanted to complete that Twiml, then we could do something like this with response.dial as dial, because I want to use that dial verb and then put a conference noun inside it. I can go conference equals dial.conference. And inside here, we're going to put a label so that we can retrieve that conference if necessary. And as far as getting that same experience again through code, that's pretty much all that's required, apart from one little other piece of boilerplate. We've just got to get Flask up and running. Okay. So what we now need to do is go back into the console and just hook this up so that when this web server is running, we can actually hit it. So what I'm going to do is start that up. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm starting up that Python web application that's running locally on my laptop. I have a tool to allow Twilio to reach through to my laptop because it's not actually out on the internet, so this ngrok tool can help you do that while doing development. And just to hook this up, instead of Twiml bin this time, I'm going to choose Webhook. And so I can select this webhook here. That's that URL that ngrok has opened up for me. This is going to hit my laptop when we dial that number. Okay, so just check that that's running. Cool. So this should give us the exact same experience, but this time it's going to my application. So we should see something hit us there. Sorry, I'll just move this across so you can see what's happening. Okay, and I'm just going to dial that number again.
Sorry, an application error has occurred.
That's demos for you, isn't it? Of course. Thank you. Thank you, random audience person who have helped. So yes, I did forget one thing. What we actually need to do is we need to return the Twiml, right? So it's just a string, and we're going to turn it back into a response. So it wouldn't be a live demo without at least one bug.
Welcome to Twilio Engage conference.
Cool. All right. And so if we wanted to personalize that experience, we could actually do something like this. So I'll just pull in some additional information this time. So we can actually, when Twilio reaches out to us, it actually includes a whole bunch of information about that call that's come in. One of them is who is the caller. So if I wanted to get the caller information, then I can pull that out, and there'll be a from parameter on that web request. And then I could do something like this. If caller, and I'm going to use my number, then I'll change what the response comes back. So I'm going to make this my personal conference line. Okay. And just having a bit of fun with it, I'm going to change what everybody else hears. So you're going to hear Alice, and she's going to have a French accent. So just cause. Okay, so let's try that again. I'll dial in, and then I'll give you all the cue to dial in straight after.
Welcome to your personal conference.
Okay, so that's a personal conference. So let's get that up on screen now so that everyone can dial in. Try and zoom that in. Does everyone get that number? Sorry. 0387975283. But it seems like we've got some people joining. I can hear beeps coming in. Bonjour. There we go. Yep, we're getting a lot more now. There we go. You can hear that. All right, we're stress testing the platform now. All right, cool. Thank you, everyone. Very good. Okay, so we'll just let that run for a minute. I think it will actually stay open even after I disconnect, so feel free to keep dialing in. But be kind and mute, so we don't get feedback. All right, so not that yet. Okay, so we could switch back. Thanks. Okay, so you've seen a demo of programmable voice. Now we're going to talk a little bit about messaging. Twilio is very well known for SMS, and businesses want to use SMS because it's convenient for customers and it's ubiquitous. So over 90% of SMSs are opened in under 3 minutes. And this is fantastic for customer engagement. It completely trounces email in many respects. But SMS sounds simple in theory, but in practice, there's a lot of nuance that goes on behind the scenes, that ensure that your messages arrive at the right destination and in a timely fashion. And so all of those complexities through the Twilio platform, we try to insulate our developers from that. We try to give them the best tools that we possibly can. So messaging in particular, we have tools like Copilot that can assist with creating a pool of numbers or scaling your messaging system, and also ensuring better deliverability and getting insights about what happened as well. So those tools to help you with messaging, they're there, and I encourage you to use them. There are many different use cases for using messaging. There are application-based notifications, such as if you want to do a sales campaign blast, or if you wanted to send your customers a delivery receipt. And you can even use SMS as part of a multi-factor, as Ben mentioned before. And we've noticed that lots and lots of customers are trying to do this sort of thing. So we've built APIs on top of that, like Authy, that make it even simpler. And so messaging has also grown in popularity as a customer service tool as well. So using SMS for two-way communication with your customers can be very convenient and can help you solve very common queries, whether you use a person or you use a bot on the other end. It's all possible using programmable messaging. But messaging has another challenge, because it's not just about SMS anymore. Customers are now reachable on many, many channels. And you may want to build in-app chat, or you might want to use push notifications. There's also over-the-top and social messaging channels that you might want to reach your customers at. And the challenge for a business is, how do you ensure that you can reach your customers on their preferred channel at the right time and in the right context? And Twilio can also help with this exact problem, because we've built a declarative API called Notify. And it's part of Engagement Cloud, which Ben's going to talk a little bit more about after this. And this abstracts the messaging channel. And what it means is that you can support a variety of channels through a very simple declarative API, and will allow you to support more channels in the future as your customers progress to them. And so now we're going to look at a demo using programmable messaging. And effectively, what we've got here is we're going to use the REST API. And the REST API allows us to access a whole bunch of things. In this case, we're going to look up the calls API. So you've all dialed into my conference now, so I actually have all of your phone numbers. Don't worry, I'm not going to misuse them. But we are going to use the messaging API and contact you on that number. Just to give you a nice surprise, we're going to give you a promo code, promo sign-up code, so that you can, if you're not already a Twilio customer, you can go and get additional $30 credit to help you get started building your applications. So that's the demo we're going to build now, and it's going to work hopefully like what you see on the diagram there. Let's get started. Okay. All right. Demo number 2. So, getting started with the REST API is very straightforward. So, once again, using Python, we've got a helper library that can help us with this. So, I'm going to bring in the Twilio REST API. And the other consideration here is because this time we're reaching out to Twilio first, we have to authenticate ourselves. Because you wouldn't want someone else being able to go in and have a look at your calls or to send messages on your behalf. So we need to make sure that we send some credentials. And so to do that, I've got an account SID, which I can pull in from the environment that I set up previously. And also a token, which is our secret token. And armed with those, we can get access to the REST API. And we just need to pass in that SID and token, just like that. So if I wanted to pull down all the calls down from Twilio, it would simply be a matter of going calls equals client.calls.list. And I might want to retrieve the numbers that dialed my conference, so I'll just get that number out. So 61387975283. Okay, so that'll give me a list of calls. And then just for, I guess, the first cut of this, I'm going to print out the last 4 digits for calls. So we might do something like this and print like number, something like this. And I'll also print out the start time as well. So we'll do something like the call, and I'll just grab, as I said, the first 4, and then put the start time so we can see when that call was placed. So as a first cut, let's just give that a go. That's the wrong one, demo 2. So there you go. So I think my code is not quite correct. Forgot a key thing. There we go, just run that again. That's a bit better, that's a bit more nicely formatted, so we can see a whole bunch of numbers dialed in. Maybe you can see your number or the end of your number up there. Okay, so now I want to actually send a message back to you. But if you called in more than once, I don't want to spam you, so I'm going to create a list of contacts. So I'm going to create that, and then I'm going to say if call.from formatted not in contacts. So if I haven't contacted you already, then I'm going to send you a message. So actually, I'll just print that out. Print message client. So now we're just going to access the messages REST API client.messages.create, and I'm going to set the to equal to your number. The from. Now in this case, I'm going to use a alphanumeric sender ID. So you'll actually see this come from Twilio. It won't be from my number. It'll be from Twilio. And I'll set the body equal to thanks for coming to Twilio Engage. Use promo code Twilio Engage for 30. Okay. And of course I've got to use that list of contacts. So contacts add. Okay, and that's pretty much as simple as it gets as far as using the API. So let's run through that. Before I do, everyone take your phone off silent so we can hear all the messages coming in. I'll make sure mine's off silent too. Okay, let's give it a go. we getting messages out? I can hear a few. Oh, this is something I forgot to do. So this is a good thing to know, and I picked this one up this time. Sometimes messages, for whatever reason, the API might fail. Like sometimes there's undeliverable numbers or what have you. So it's good to wrap it. So try exception. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to do that again because I might have missed someone. So you might get a second message. But we should skip over that error this time. Someone has a sneaky number that won't accept SMSs. Actually, there's two of you. There we go. So hopefully everyone who dialed in, you got a promo code. All right. Cheers, everyone.